Hello guys, welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. There is a message that I received, then I had to ask one of our admins to give us a translation, and the translation reads like this. Hello my brother, how are you? Can you please share my story? I came here to Botswana looking for a better opportunity, and when I came here, it was because I was just trying to make my life better. Back home, even though I had tried almost each and every business that can be found underneath the sun, and I had failed to even take care of my family. There were days that me and my family, we could go to bed hungry and there was nothing in the house. Seeing that the situation back home was now getting tough, I then chose that it was far much better if I could cross the border and go to Botswana so that I can find a better opportunity for myself. I then worked so hard. Then I raised some money so that I can use the money when I'll be traveling to Botswana. And after I had traveled to Botswana, everything went as according to plan. When I came here, after going around for so many days just looking for a better opportunity, I was then fortunate enough. One day I was stopped by this other man who was driving in his car. He stopped and he asked me where I was going. Then that man told me that he had a lot of cattle, so he needed 2 more workers. That is how I found work. I used to head cows on that man's plot. When I was working for that man, I was made to work with one older man whom I had found already working for the man that I was now working for. That man, he was quite a friendly man, and he was really attracted to everything concerning black magic and witchcraft. Most of his stories that he used to tell me were about black magic. He would tell me about some of the forbidden places. He will point at different hills and he will tell me that I was not supposed to venture into those hills for they were forbidden. Since our salaries that we were getting paid were never enough, he then suggested that on our off days, what we were supposed to do was that we were supposed to go around the plots looking for piece jobs since we were working in the plots already. This is what we used to do. On our off days, we will go around looking for piece jobs. But as for me, even though I was lucky enough to get a lot of piece jobs, but there was a challenge that I was facing. The challenge was that sometimes I will not be able to finish some of the piece jobs that I'll be doing at that time since I didn't have a passport. So at the place where I was working, the police was ever present looking for illegal immigrants. So sometimes after getting a piece job, some people would then call the police. When they would have seen that you're finished doing the piece job that you will be doing, they will do this so as to not pay you. Then other times, the police will be just driving by. Then they will see you maybe digging up a trench or doing something like that. Then they will chase after you. By the time that I decided to look for a solution, there was this other time I had found this other man. He wanted me to make some cement bricks for him. So whilst I was doing that piece job, I was nearly finishing that piece job. That is when I saw the police car. Then I had to run away. When I went back to the plot where I was working with that old man, I sat down with him and I told him how tired I was with the way that my life was going. He told me not to worry because he knew this certain man who knew how to make charms that could help me. He said that these charms were for the police. What he said was that all that I needed was to go and have a one-on-one with that man. There was no need for any sacrifices. It was just a charm so that I can evade the police. So I agreed. After that, when we went there, I was given a small bottle of oil and I was told that the only thing that I needed to do was to rub the oil on my forehead. if I saw a police car so that they would just feel lazy to ask for my papers. I was really happy because this seemed so easy, and I thought that I had finally found the solution to my problems. But on the day when we went to that place where I was given the lucky oil, when we were there, whilst I was having the consultation with that man, simply because I could not understand the language properly, so the old man that I was working with, since he know a little bit of Ndebele, so I would speak with him in my native tongue, then he would then act as if he was the translator. So some of the things I could not hear them properly. After I was given the lucky charm oil, I went back home, but the thing that was always on my mind was the oath that I was made to swear, and I was made to swear this oath betting with my mother's life. This thing kept on troubling me, but after the charm seemed to be working, I quickly forgot about that oath that I had been made to swear and bet with my mother's life. I went back home and life returned back to normal. Then my mother, who was back home in Zim, she passed away. At the time of me performing the rituals, some of the things I could not even understand, since I had not yet properly learned the local language. So I kept on saying yes to each and everything. And at that time, when I was asked if I was willing to bet on my mother's life, I thought about it for a few seconds. That old man that I was working with, he had advised me to never say no. So I just said yes. When that witch doctor that I was consulting with asked me if I was willing to bet on my mother's life, so I just said yes. That is how I sacrificed my mother unknowingly. And that old man, he had put so much fear into my heart, because he said that this man that we will be visiting, he is quite a powerful man. Everything that he asks from you, you should never say no, because he didn't have too much patient. So even the things that I couldn't even understand, I'll just say yes. I was so desperate to be given those charms that will work against the police. When my mother passed away without ever getting sick, and me seeing that the charms were really working for me, because what will happen is that I felt as if I was now invisible to the immigration officials. What they would do is that they would arrest the person who was right next to me for not having proper documentation, and they will avoid me as if I was not there. Satisfied with this black magic, I then went back to that witch doctor. I only went there because I wanted to tell him about my mother's death, thinking that if I tell him and if I consult with him, he will comfort me. But what he said to me next shocked me back to my senses. He said that I was supposed to buy a clay pot. This clay pot that I was supposed to buy, it was supposed to be a mid-sized clay pot without any traditional designs on it. That man wanted this clay pot to be plain and simple. After purchasing that clay pot, we did another ritual in which he took ashes. After he had taken those ashes, he mixed them with chicken blood that we had slaughtered, and he made me to drink that concoction. He said that this was for my heart. He wanted my heart to be as strong as like that of a lion, and not to be afraid by the time that I will see what will be inside the clay pot. He said that throughout the night I had to wake up and check to see if there was anything inside the clay pot. When the evening came, I struggled to sleep because I kept on asking myself, what is it I was going to find inside that clay pot? For a second, I thought that maybe I was going to find gold, money, or anything that was going to improve my life. I could not even sleep. I kept on checking the clay pot until I saw few drops of blood. Then the blood almost became like a spring. It was just coming out of nowhere. The blood was inside the clay pot. When I looked properly inside the clay pot, then I saw that inside the clay pot there was a heart. and this heart, it was pumping blood. When I saw this strange thing, at first I thought that this was nothing but an animal's heart, but that witch doctor, after consulting with him again, he said that the heart that was inside the clay pot, the heart belonged to my mother. I was shocked as to how this was possible, because as far as I knew, my mother was already dead. But that witch doctor told me that after I had consulted with him, he then made some plans. Then he snatched away my mother's heart just before my mother had died. My mother was only physically dead, but her heart was still alive. He said that he used black magic to snatch away my mother's heart, and he said that wherever I go, I must have this clay pot by my side, and the blood that is inside this clay pot is always fresh, and you can even see that my mother's heart will be pumping the blood that will be inside the clay pot. This thing, my brother, it is not happening spiritually, but I can see this thing physically in broad daylight. I can see everything that will be happening inside that clay pot. Dear listeners, right there was a message that I received. Then I had to ask one of our admins to give us a translation.